Hey guys, I'm here with a review of the two HomeWorx candles that I got. It was the floral collection from the TSV from HomeWorx on QVC. The Hobnail collection. I got, oh gosh. These lids come off so easily. I'll talk about that in a second. I got the floral collection. I was going back and forth between the Gourmand collection, the floral collection, but I was really wanting some good florals because it's springtime and I was just really in the mood for some good florals. So I decided to go with the floral collection for the hobnails. So first up we'll talk about South Seas Gardenia. This was in this really pretty green hobnail glass, and like I was saying, the lids, they just sit on top of here. They don't like, you know, like the other ones. I have this one I'm going to talk about here in a second. They have like a little plastic here that just kind of suctions on the top of it. It doesn't suction on at all. It just sits around the top. But like if you're holding them and you're carrying them, they slip off really easy. I don't know how many times I dropped this lid when I was carrying these candles around because it just slides real off so easily. You have to really grab onto the top and the bottom really good so this lid don't fall off. But anyway, they're really, really pretty jars. Really beautiful. I really like this green color. The label was just a little bit, like I said in my review, or my first impressions when I got them, it was a little bit of lines here on the label. I don't know if you can see that there. But you just kind of, if you kind of smash it down, it kind of flatten it out just a little bit. I mean, it wasn't too bad. So it wasn't too bad of a big deal with that. Once you flatten them down, it didn't look too bad. So this one reads Gardenia, Botanical Orchid, Garden Lily, Bergamot, and Spring Moss. So I really liked this when I first lit this candle. So in my first impressions, I thought it was a lot more perfuming than what I expected it to be. You definitely get the white floral of the Gardenia, but it wasn't quite as like, as much as a white floral as I thought it was gonna be. It was a little bit more perfumey to me. But when I burned it, that perfumey note wasn't as strong as it was on cold to me. It was still there, but it wasn't quite as strong as it was on cold. And I did get definitely the Gardenia. It had a slight bit of greenness. It could be the spring moss. It kind of had like a little bit of a green mixed with that white Gardenia. And it still had that perfuminess. I don't exactly know. I mean, florals are perfumey, but I don't know exactly if there's anything else that made it more perfumey than what I normally get with white florals. It has bergamot. I know bergamot, like I said in my first impressions, it's in a lot of different cologne type scents, but I think it's also used in some perfume scents. It reminded me of a perfume my mom used to wear, White Shoulders, and I looked up White Shoulders online out of curiosity, and a lot of the notes that's in the perfume for White Shoulders are very similar to the notes that are in here. It's a lot of the same type of scents. So that could be why it's most perfumey, because some perfumes have the same type of notes as like that are in this candle. Yeah, it reminds me of that still. But like I said, when I burned it, it wasn't quite as perfumey as it was on cold. I did like it. It wasn't when I first burned it, I was enjoying it quite a bit. I even posted on Instagram that I really liked it, but it wasn't my favorite as far as like some other white florals, but I did enjoy it. I was really enjoying it until I got to the halfway point. It was burning really good up until the halfway point. The wicks did curl a little bit. After you burned them, they started curling, but it wasn't affecting the burn. It was still, the flames are nice and strong. I would blow it out, and then each time before I would relight it, I would trim just a little bit of that off because it would have a little bit of a mushroom top. I would trim a little bit of the mushroom top off. I would relight it, and then I would like stand back and look for a while. And sometimes it did have a little bit of smoke coming off it. Even when I did trim it, I could still see a little bit of smoke coming off the top of the flame. So if that happened, I would blow it out again. I would trim just a little bit more down again, and then relight it again until I didn't see any more smoke coming off that flame. Sometimes I had to do that like 2 or 3 times, just depending on how far down I trim it. You don't want to trim it too far because then you could be getting puny flames, but I can't just leave it going with smoke. If I see smoke coming off those flames, I have to blow it out and trim it again until I don't see any more smoke coming off those flames. So I would do that, and it was burning fine. I would trim it. The flames are nice and strong. It was burning, even waxable all the way down. Even with those curly wicks, that wasn't causing an issue. Until right about the halfway point, the flames started getting smaller. I would trim them, I lit it, the flame was nice and strong, but then after like an hour or two, it just, all of a sudden I went back and looked and the flame was smaller. And then through the second half of the candle, the flames were just really, they got pretty puny. I had to cotton ball it quite a bit to try to get those flames back up. And because of that, the scent diminished quite a bit. It was really good, and you could smell it really well. It wasn't super strong the first half. It was like a nice medium throw. It didn't really travel to like other rooms, but you definitely smelled in the room it was in. It was a nice medium throw. I'd say like a 6.5 or so in the room it was in. It was good. It wasn't super strong, like I said. Didn't travel into other rooms that much. But after the halfway point, when the flames got puny, it wasn't getting as hot because the flames were smaller, so it wasn't throwing the scent out as well, and it got the scent diminished probably to like a 3 or a 4. It was definitely diminished quite a bit when those flames got smaller. And then at the very end of the burn, you can see here, it didn't burn down to any of the wick clips. These wicks went out first, and then these two kept burning quite a bit longer before they went out. It does that sometimes. 2 wicks will burn a lot longer than the other 2. As you can see, the wax burned down further on these 2 because these 2 just kept staying lit and staying lit and staying lit. I actually went to bed one night and this was still going. The flames are really itty bitty, but they were still on. I just let it put itself out. I went to bed and just, oh my God, I didn't think it was going to be harm to go to sleep with these puny little bitty flames in there. So when I woke up, it would put itself out, but because it was still going, it burned the wax down just a little bit further on that side. But even then, you still couldn't see any wick clips, and it still left a little bit of wax, decent amount of wax on the bottom part there. So because the flames weren't as strong towards the bottom, it didn't burn them down as far, like to the wick clips. So yeah, overall this candle, I liked it the first half. It wasn't my favorite of the florals I burned, but it was decent. I was enjoying it. And then that second half, it just kind of puned out. And then the scent was just kind of it was like a 3 to a 4, but then the scent that I smelled was just kind of, it wasn't quite as, it didn't have enough oomph to it. Like when those flames are high, there was that scent out there. You can get all the scent notes and everything, and it's really nice. But then when it gets puny, the scent notes, you can still smell it, but it's really a lot lighter, like I said. But then you don't really smell all the scent notes, and it's just kind of lackluster. Like, I don't know. I was kind of ready to be finished with it after the halfway point. I wasn't really happy with it after the halfway point. It wasn't as exciting as the first half was. So next we'll talk about Enchanted Peony. This one has a nice pretty pink hobnail glass. This label is the same, had a little bit of creases in there, but I just try to flatten them out by rubbing down on the label. This one reads Velvet Peony, Pink Camellia, Leafy Greens, Golden Amber, Fresh Blackberry. So this one was good. I actually ended up liking this a little bit more than I like the South Seas Gardenia, which is surprising because I really like gardenia scents. But this one, the first half anyway, again, the first half I was really enjoying it a little bit more than I was South Seas Gardenia. I said in my first impressions video, it kind of reminded me a little bit of like rose petals mixed with like peony. Because Rose Petals candle, it had a rose with like a little bit of peony. This had like more peony but a little bit of rose. It was very similar to Rose Petals to me. But after burning, wasn't quite as much. This definitely has the peony and it has the sweet blackberry. On cold, you really, like right now I'm smelling it, I can really get a sweetness to it. A little bit, slight bit of a perfuminess. Not near as perfumey as the South Seas Gardenia was to me, but it does have a little bit of perfuminess. There's amber, golden amber, maybe that's why. But you can get the fruity blackberry with that peony. You get, it says leafy greens. I didn't really get much greens on cold or really when burning either. But you definitely get mostly the peony and then the fruity blackberry. But when you burn it, that fruitiness doesn't come out as much as it does on cold. But you do probably get like a mostly peony with like a sweetness and like a slight bit of a tad bit of a perfuminess. But mostly nice, really good, pleasant peony scent. but the rose doesn't come out as much when burning as it did on cold snip to me. I actually have my rose petals candles here right here to compare. Yeah, that one's just very much a rose petals, rose scent. Kind of a little bit powdery. This one, yeah, it doesn't have as much rose. Like this is definitely more powdery rose. This one's, it's coming off really sweet on cold. Yeah, they have similarities, but they're definitely not alike. But this one was really good until the halfway point. It was doing really well. It was throwing stronger at the halfway point than it was on South Seas Gardenia. But then at the halfway point, it did the same thing. The wicks were curling at first, just like that one was, but the flames, it wasn't affecting the flames. I would, you know, trim them, keep checking to see if there was soot, blow it out, trim it again. But it was doing fine until halfway point. The flames started getting smaller. I had a cotton ball all the rest of the half of the way. The first half of the scent throw was probably like an 8 to 8.5. It was pretty strong. I could smell it pretty well, and it traveled down like into the other rooms a little bit, as opposed to South Seas Gardenia. But this one, once it hit the halfway point and the flames got a lot smaller, it went down to probably like a 5 to 5.5 or something like that. It did the same thing. The scent throw just diminished, and all the scent notes didn't come out as well. It got just kind of lackluster. That's been happening with a lot of my HomeWorx candles. Once it reaches the halfway point, the scent, the burn, of course, the flames are puny. Even when you cotton ball it, kind of helps for like a little bit, but then it kind of goes puny again real quick. And then the scent throw diminishes, and then the scent itself that you're smelling, even though you can still smell it and it's not as strong, but you can still smell it. The scent that you're smelling is just it's just like kind of blah. It just doesn't have as much. The first half, the scent notes really came out and everything. You really smelled them, it was really nice, and it just kind of gets kind of blah after the halfway point. What you're smelling is just kind of eh. Same with this one. I was like, okay, this can be done now, because I wasn't enjoying it as much the second half. When it was burning like that, the scent throw it lost its luster. So yeah, and then this one here, the two on this side went out first, and these two in the middle stayed last, burning the last, just like that one South Seas Gardenia did. But this one here, you did get to the wick clip a little bit on this wick, just a little bit. So it burned out just a little bit further on that one wick there on this one than that one did. But yeah, overall with these two set, I just wasn't, if they would have burned like they did the first half all the way through, like the 3 wicks used to, I probably would have enjoyed them a lot more, even though this Gardenia wasn't my favorite of Gardenia scents I've ever had. But I think the Enchanted Peony I would have liked a lot better if it would have burned better all the way through, and it kept the scent notes and the throw going much better, and I would have smelled all those scent notes because it would have been stronger. The flames would have been stronger, the throw would have been better, the candle would have been burning warmer, would have just been a lot better and more pleasurable. But based on my burn performance with these burns on these candles and performance, I can't recommend them, and I wouldn't repurchase these again based on my experience with them. And because of this, I was kind of iffy on how I'm going to continue with HomeWorx, because it's almost all the ones I've had this spring/summer have done this, except for Spun Vanilla Sugar. That one did really good. That one burned really good all the way down. That burned almost as good as the 3 wicks from last spring and summer. And that threw really good the whole way through. Because it burned really good all the way through, the throw was really good all the way through the candle. That one did get puny at the halfway point, but I think almost every other candle that I've gotten this spring and summer so far have been puny at the halfway point, and then the scent has diminished because of that, and it just got kind of blah at the halfway point. So I think I'm gonna take a little break from HomeWorx. I probably will just kind of wait for this fall to see what happens, and I'm gonna just wait and see how other people's that are buying the fall candles, and if I hear that people are getting candles that are burning all the way through without getting puny flames, and the throw is good all the way through, then maybe I might consider buying some. But until I hear that, I probably won't be buying any more HomeWorx for a while, because for me, for the price that you're paying, which is quite a bit, because by the time you get paid for shipping and handling everything with these, you're paying about almost $25 a candle, $20 to $25 a candle. For them to burn like that, the halfway point, The jar is pretty and everything with this, but still the performance and the throw just at the halfway point is just, it shouldn't be doing that to me. Hopefully Harry will figure this out. I know he keeps saying, he said these wicks were supposed to be better on this one. I don't know what happened, but in my experience they weren't. So hopefully he will continue working on them, and I don't know if they're having problems with using these wicks. They can't go back to the 3 wicks because they were more expensive wicks, and now they're saving money by using these wicks that are getting puny. I don't know, but I just want the performance of the 3 wicks back from last spring and summer, and then maybe I will start purchasing some again. So alright, so thanks for watching my review of the Enchanted Peony and South Seas Gardenia, and I'll talk to y'all in our next video. Bye.